What are ND filters? I apologize if you already know and this is repetitive information. If so, you can feel free to skip ahead. But I think it's really important to go over this for the newbies out there who don't really know yet. And it's a good thing because it's really simple. It's going to take 2 seconds for me to explain. This is an ND filter, this is an ND filter, this is an ND filter, and this is an ND filter. But they're all different, and those differences are what the overarching theme of this video is going to be about. Now, ND filters are literally just sunglasses for your camera. These ones are like special sunglasses that when you twist them, it either gets darker or lighter, and you don't have to switch out the glass over your camera to begin with. You can just twist it. That's what these are about, and that is what this video is about. It's going to be about the PolarPro Variable ND Filter Signature Edition with the Peter McKinnon. It's the 2 to 5 stop, and the Mist Edition of the same thing. Now, the differences between these two ND filters, despite them both being 2 to 5 stop NDs, is that this one, the Mist one, has little tiny specks in it which give the video a special effect, while this one does not. You can also use them for photography, and I'm going to be getting into that because that is important. Some housekeeping things real quick before we dive into the comparison. Feel free to like the video, I would definitely appreciate it, and subscribe if you enjoy it. First off, I want to talk about these filters just in general. They are very good, and I'm sure that this is what you found from any of the other research you've done into them, because I hope you've done other research before you buy something as expensive as these. I think they retail for about $250, which is a lot, but they're very good, and you have my word that you would not be disappointed in the purchase if you should make one. These filters, since they're designed the same, one just has the mist in the actual optical element, they're both fantastic. They have great clarity, no vignetting that I've seen, or any other downsides, really. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about the differences between the Signature Edition and the Mist, and whether you should get the Mist over the Signature Edition. Now, this might be a bit of a hot take, but if you're using a variable ND filter for photography, which is okay, I'm not gonna call you weird for doing that, don't get the Mist Edition. The effect that you get from Mist filters can be replicated in post-processing in photos. Not really so much, at least not simply, with video, which is why you want to use a Mist for video, but with photos, just get a regular ND and just do it in post. Do the Mist effect in post. There you go. That's a really easy decision if you're a photographer, not a videographer. On top of this, if you're getting a Mist filter for video, there's really not much of a reason to get the 6 to 9 stop Mist Edition ND filter. Because unless you're shooting somewhere really bright, like the Arctic in the middle of the day where sun is just bouncing everywhere and it's insanely bright, you're really never gonna be using a 6 to 9 stop ND filter when you're shooting video. People who are more seasoned with this, feel free to disagree with me in the comments, but I just don't see myself using anything more than like a 5 stop ND for video. It'd be such a weird circumstance. I said that so weird, like it had an accent or something. Okay, so you don't need the 6 to 9 stop Mist Edition. You probably don't need the 6 to 9 stop Signature Edition for video. Maybe in certain circumstances you would. Plus it would also be good for photography, so keep that on the table. But let's go back to the 2 to 5 stop Signature Edition versus Mist Edition. Personally, I really like the look of a mist filter. It gives you a little bit more cinematic of a feel to your footage, and it's just aesthetically pleasing, I think. Now, PolarPro doesn't have a ton of diffusion in their Mist Edition VND filters. I think it would be equivalent to like a 1/8 if you were getting a Tiffin. Just enough to give you a bit of the bloom, but not like a stylized look. It just softens the image a little bit. You can tell just by taking a look at my light bulbs and how they're just a little bit softer with the Mist filter versus with the variable ND filter with no diffusion. So I do like it. I like the look that the Mist filter gives you. But the problem again is that it's built in with the variable ND filter. Now that's good if you're filming outside because you can like always have an ND filter on when you're outside. But if you're filming inside, it becomes a little bit more of a obstacle. Because here's what happens. If you have anything above like a 1.8 aperture, you're gonna need to crank your ISO just to get that mist look. And I don't like cranking my ISO, and a lot of people don't like cranking their ISO. So that's a problem. Okay, let's just stop here for a quick second. I'm actually filming this the next day because I was doing the edit and I realized that I didn't say something that is important to say in this moment. And that is, whenever I'm referring to like indoor shooting, all of that stuff pertains to outdoor at night. Like when I'm talking about outdoor shooting, I'm talking about during the day when there's plenty of light out. A lot of the time you want the mist effect because of all the different light sources that are in your shot. Now these light sources are usually more prevalent when you're shooting at night, so a lot of people like to use mist effect when they're shooting neon signs or street lights, that sort of thing. Now by combining a ND filter which darkens the image with a mist effect that a lot of people just like to use at night or when they're shooting in low light conditions, you've got two competing purposes to the same filter. So unless you're filming during the day with plenty of light and you just want a bit of a diffused look to the footage, you can't get any of the purposes that a lot of people, myself included, enjoy having out of the mist filter, because you can't, crank your ISO to like 2 million just to get the mist effect. It doesn't really make much sense when you're shooting at night. Okay, that should cover it. Let's get back to what I filmed yesterday. So I think in the end, what I'm trying to say is if you want just a mist filter for that effect, you might as well just buy a separate mist filter. And these are more if you need a mist filter but also want an ND outside. And that was their selling point for the mist editions, was that it was a built-in mist diffuser plus the variable ND filter, which is neat, and I don't think anybody else has done it. But I'm also tempted to say there's a reason why nobody else has done it. Now PolarPro says that the reason they combined the diffusion and the variable ND filter is because if you stack a regular mist filter on top of a ND filter, you're going to get a bit of vignetting. I'm not sure I'd buy that. I don't have a regular filter here to test it, but I think just 2 filters thick shouldn't give you much vignetting. Again, if you've had other experience, feel free to tell me that I'm wrong. I always like that. No, but really I do. Just let me know. So when it comes down to it, you're comparing 2 different filters in a very specific circumstance that they would be useful, which is when there's enough light and whether you want to use a regular ND filter or the mist ND, and you want to have that diffusion built in. And the biggest thing that this leaves me thinking about is with the mist filter, you can't take the mist out of it. But with a regular variable ND filter, you can add a mist filter on top of it, or behind it, as the case may be. So for my personal recommendation, if you want to pick one, go with the Signature Edition. It's the best variable ND filter I've ever used. It's fantastic. It's awesome. And it allows you the flexibility of sticking their new mist filter right on top of it, or any of the other new stuff they came out with, which I want them to send me. The Mist Edition is cool. The Mist Edition is cool, and it looks good, and it works, but I would say only get it if this is what you know you want. You know that you're going to be shooting outside a lot. Maybe you shoot weddings, and you're always gonna have a mist diffuser on it, and a lot of the weddings you shoot are outside. So go for this one, because it's a slight mist. It's not like obtrusive. The simplicity of having them built in is really nice if you're run and gun or you're shooting weddings or something like that. Whereas the Signature Edition is the go-to if you're just getting your first ND filter or you're not really sure that you want mist on all the time. You want that super crisp look of a digital camera. So, I hope that this wasn't too rambly. I know it could have been, because I was just freewheeling it today. I've put this video off for a long time, so I just sat down and I hit record, and this is what came out. And it could be not fun at all to edit. So, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like below. It helps me feel better about editing for hours and hours and hours during the school week. Don't forget that you are an awesome human being. That is the most important thing. That's number one. I'll see you next time. Peace.